Gladiator 2. A spectacle like no other. A breathtaking story. Well, welcome to Advanced Storytelling. I'm Mika Nicolo, and today we're going to be talking about Gladiator 2. So this movie is a sequel, and we all know it. We all love Gladiator 1. It was amazing. IMDb, it has a score of 8.5. People just love the original movie. So when they heard that there's going to be a sort of, not a remake, but a new series, a continuation of the story, everybody was thrilled because ancient Rome was going to come alive. Gladiators, sacrifice, courage. And so, how does the remake stand up to the old movie, side by side? Well, not that well. Look at the score, 6.8. I'm sorry. When I started making the video, it was 6.8, but by now it has dropped down to 6.7, which definitely is not good. So what happened here? Well, it all started really well. So the movie, when it was announced, we found out the director would be Ridley Scott, and he's the one that directed the first movie. So everyone was excited. They knew that they were gonna get a visual spectacle. And I personally think that the movie actually delivered there completely. I mean, Rome came alive. The ancient life, gladiators, the fighting, the arena, everything was there for the taking. So perfect. The movie also had a good production budget, 165 million to begin with, and that increased to over 310 million with all the costs included, including marketing and stuff like that, which add a lot to the movie. But the point is that the financial backing was there, the director was there, and so everybody was really excited with what was to come. Money has been invested in this movie. I mean, it's a visual pleasure to watch. The quality of the scenes is there, right? That's not what's holding the movie back. So now let's look at the actors. I mean, you have somebody like Pedro Pascal. Whoa, we loved him in The Mandalorian. He was also great in the Game of Thrones as Oberyn Martell. So, a great choice, great pick, perfect. Denzel Washington. Now I have to admit, he's one of my favorite actors. The way he smiles, that charisma he has, the way he moves in every scene, he owns it. And so seeing him in this movie is a pleasure for me. I mean, he is the kind of actor that I think with his smile reminds me of the same type of charisma of Harrison Ford. You know, a type of rogue figure you want to spend time with as much as possible in a movie. So he's a great choice. We have also Connie Nelson in it, and she was spectacular in Gladiator 1, so her return here was very highly anticipated by everyone. Another actor we should mention, that's Derek Jacobi, who is just a brilliant actor. He comes from the old British school of doing things, which is really based in theater. So when he has a role like this, as a senator in ancient Rome, he nails it. The main protagonist is played by Paul Mescal. Now, me personally, I'm not familiar with his body of work prior to this movie. I just didn't know him. But the first thing I can say is he's definitely bulked up for the role. Now, this character did not land well with everybody, and the reviews show that a lot of people have been a little bit disappointed. I personally think that it has nothing to do with the actor, but the protagonist, the role he was playing, and more precisely that he didn't get enough screen time. But this is something we'll get onto later on. Finally, we need to mention the head writer of the movie. That is David Scarpa. He just came from doing Napoleon with Ridley Scott, so the director must have really liked him and said, hey, come on over for my next project. I want you to write the script. Now that's very interesting because the first Gladiator 1 movie was written by David Franzoni. Now David Franzoni appears on the script of Gladiator 2, so he must have been consulted at some point, but the main writer was David Scarpa. He did the script. This is important because while the plot of Gladiator 1 was simple, it had a powerful emotional impact and it was really well told. So what went wrong with this movie? Well, first of all, I have to say, I don't think that this movie deserves a rating below 7. I mean, just everything is there. Like the visuals, the attention to detail, the money spent, the director, the actors. 7 is the minimum I would give it. But then, why is this enormous disconnect between the rating it got, meaning the public, and the movie itself? This is extremely important, because this is how the movie was presented to us.
audiences everywhere are calling Gladiator the single greatest movie of the year.
So without further ado, welcome to Advanced Storytelling with me, Mika Nicolo, and we're going to look at Gladiator 2, at the script, at the story, and find out what went wrong, and how we can weave a story, do better, and learn. Alright, the first issue is that we have too many independent characters to follow. I mean, the story starts with our protagonist, right? He's on a farm, his city is gonna get attacked. But then for some reason we're switching to now the attacking army. So that's a completely different perspective because there is Pedro Pascal. Now I need to talk about something here because this is advanced storytelling. And that's about the connecting character and how that works. For example, think about Star Trek, right? The Next Generation, on the bridge, there's Jean-Luc Picard. Everybody is connected to him because he's the captain, obviously. But that also means that every story that happens and develops itself is connected with him and with the characters on the bridge because the location also is a connector. Now, if we go back to Gladiator 2, that thing doesn't exist because Pedro Pascal, after taking the city, goes to Rome, talks to the emperors, both of them, and then continues on to try to overthrow them. Now, what the hell does that have to do with our protagonist who is a slave? Absolutely nothing. Two completely different stories that are only gonna merge when Pedro Pascal is gonna die. So that's two stories. Now, but you're jungling more than that because, of course, we have Connie Nelson, Lucilla, and she has her own story. The senators who are coming in, swearing loyalty to her. She wants to reestablish her connection with her son. And this connects with the main protagonist, but. The problem is, if you see how it's filmed, it is she that is organizing the meeting with the protagonist. The camera follows her when she goes in, when she goes out. And so she's the connecting character, but it shouldn't be her. It should be our protagonist. Our protagonist in this case is standing there in the cell waiting for her, and he has no agency. That is something that you don't want to do. And this is advanced storytelling. So we are learning. And then think about when they got Denzel Washington. Amazing character. But what does his story have to do with our protagonist? Well, at the beginning, everything, like he's the slave owner. But then Denzel Washington goes on his own path, right? He's climbing the structure of power of Rome, and he's rising all the way to being there with the Senate, with the emperors. But that has nothing to do with our gladiator, who is in the arena. Like sometimes they have some scenes, and then they go on their own separate paths. So independent stories, and this is a problem, because a movie is an hour and a half, 2 hours. That's how much you have the audience for. So you need to have a script that stands on its own legs for that amount of time. The same thing if you're writing a book or a play or whatever it is. If you're writing a book, you have a lot more to say, right? A lot more space to say things. And again, this is not Game of Thrones. That means it's not a TV series. You don't have several seasons. It's a movie. 2 hours maximum, not a director's cut. So your story, your script needs to stand, be focused, and be good for that amount of time. And here it fails. Now, why I think this happened is because a movie studio came in and said, listen, we got Pedro Pascal. They said that to the scriptwriter. Listen, we got Pedro Pascal. Write a story arc for him. He's an amazing actor. We got Denzel Washington. Write a story for him. You have to do it. He's an amazing actor. But the problem is that the story, the overall story suffers. Because now we have different story threads that we need to follow. Nothing really unites them. And this creates a disjointed script. So the second point is, not only are there many characters to follow, but their stories are not well told. So now think of Pedro Pascal, right? He's assaulting the city. And what do we have? He's tired looking. And then he has to stand in front of bodies being burned. Now, why is he standing there? He's a conqueror, right? He's a conquering general. He's celebrating. He's looking at the slaves that he has captured. He's looking at all the gold and loot that he has captured, like they're drinking. But no, instead, he's looking at the bodies being burned of the people that he has conquered. Well, the point here is that the writer wanted that scene for a particular purpose. So Pedro Pascal feels tired, feels disgusted of all this carnage, the cost of war and so on. But it's not well done. I mean, if you want to do that, bring him with his general. He's celebrating, and then he goes out on the wall. He meets a centurion, and then the centurion is watching over the bodies of the conquered being burned. There is like nobody there to mourn them, like in the night, and then he's like then reflects on the cost of war. That would have been much stronger scene. But he's being portrayed like this tired figure. He goes with the emperors, and again, he looks tired, he looks bored. He gets some agency when he starts to overthrow them, but then he loses all agency because he gets captured. And then what is his ending at the end? He just gives up. Like, he gives his life to fate. That is not a strong character. No agency. I mean, it's a complete disappointment. How about Lucilla? Well, she goes also nowhere, right? Her story is helping this overthrow, gaining power herself, and then how does her story end? Well, at the end, she has absolutely no agency. She's tied up. She's tied up there. She stands tied up, and she gets an arrow in the chest. That's it. That's her story. That's her story arc. Great story arc, by the way. Then we have Denzel Washington's complex plotline. The problem with Denzel Washington is that as we follow him, we are sort of sympathizing with him. Yeah, those emperors are not good people. Yeah, he should overthrow them. And we like him as a character. Then he turns into the villain. But the problem is we've spent so much time with him, and he's not the type of villain that, for example, is the Joker and the Batman. Because the Joker is the shadow to the Batman. He's the opposite of what Batman is. In this case, I mean, they both want to overthrow the emperors. I mean, that makes perfect sense. They both are working towards the same goal. It's only at the end that they have a divergence. So in other way, there is no real clash between those two figures. The main protagonist has also story problems. I mean, it's just from the start. So first of all, this has to be a broken man. Like, his wife dies. That's the big thing and the sort of a big motivation in his scenes. But think about it. His wife dies, but then he gets a vision. He sees her boarding a boat. That's like the boat of the dead that, you know, you continue on in the afterlife. And then she turns his wife and tells him, I'm gonna wait for you. Now, this is a huge problem because this is a character that believes in the gods. So he believes in this vision. And what did he see in the vision? His life is like, yeah, I'm getting on the bus. Here's the bus. Yeah, you can't come now, but I am. And I'm gonna wait for you. Don't worry about it. Do whatever you need to do and I'll wait for you. Like, that drains the whole power of the scene that his wife died. And if you think about it, not only his wife, but all the friends that he had in that city are either dead or enslaved, right? And what does he do? He smiles. He smiles constantly. Like, this is not a character that's ravaged by pain of losing everything. Like, look at that. Scene after scene, he's smiling. Why? Why is he smiling like that? Because, you know, he's a leader of men, he's charismatic, but that's insane. He's not charismatic. He can't be smiling. Of course, he can be charismatic, but he can't be smiling. No, look, he keeps smiling. Why? And also, can I ask, how the hell does he become a leader of men? Like, there is no progression here. He just is. At one point, he's like rolling, and then the man is like, oh, the punishment is, oh, you're gonna roll all alone. And all the men are like, oh yeah, he's rolling all alone. I really like him. He's my leader. Like, no, that isn't earned. And he takes the armor of what's his father, and don't get me started on that plot line. But anyway, he gets the armor of his father, and it's like, that's not earned. You haven't earned this armor, and it's the same way you haven't earned the respect of the man. So the story is not well told, and this leads us to all the inattention to detail. I mean, this thing was hurried, and I saw in this article saying how quickly the movie worked, and some of the people working on the movie were saying, wow, I've never seen the movie going so fast. I mean, yeah, there is a reason for that. Now look at this scene. He's standing and gazing out of the ship. And he's like, where is my luggage? By the way, he's supposed to be here enslaved, right? He's been captured, he's been defeated, he's been enslaved, and he's like, yeah, so is that Rome over there? Yeah. Who has my luggage? Anybody? Yeah, bring it forward. I'm just gonna admire Rome as a passenger on this ship. And you're thinking I'm joking. But by the way, look at this scene. He is captured, right? Defeated in battle, captured, a slave. And what does he have? He has his ring on his finger. Why does he have his ring on his finger? Like, it's a serious question. Like, were the Romans like coming there and saying, hey, you gotta give us this ring, you're a slave now? And he's like, that's my dead wife's ring. She gave it to me. And the Romans are like, oh yeah, we can't take that. There's just no way we can take that. What about that gold buckle you have? Oh, that's my gold buckle from my father. And the Romans are like, we can't take that. Is he alive? No, he died. Oh, you keep that. How about that golden bracelet that you have? Oh, that's my great grandfather's. He's dead. Okay, yeah, keep that as well, keep. And then I go, okay, you're exaggerating. But why does he have a ring? And look at the way he's getting captured, okay? Look at the scene of him getting captured. That's like, sir, we've just captured your city. We've defeated you. This way, sir, please move this way. Yeah, I'm not going to touch you. I'm not touching you, but please, you're a slave now. Please, this way. Oh, you took that broken arrow, huh? You can stab somebody in the eye with that broken arrow. Sir, I'm not touching you. This way, you can keep the broken arrow. Yeah, we don't care. Come on, this way. Speaking of inattention to detail, what about the whole fight? I mean, this is really important when you're writing. You gotta research. You gotta research the time period. You gotta research what were they doing. Because if you do a battle like that, you're gonna have like 80% of people that go, wow, that's brilliant. I really love the spectacle of it. But then you're gonna get 20% of your audience that are gonna say, this doesn't work. And you don't want to be losing audience members like that continuously through the movie. So for example, the battle, like those ships charging a city. Wait a second, the Romans have an army. It's a land army. They are extremely good at discipline. They're also extremely good at having engineers. They build tanks, they build towers, they build siege equipment, they concentrate on a specific spot on the wall, they breach there, then they expand from there. What are you doing with ships charging? And also, how silly is this battle? Like you have the whole tower and the bridge doesn't lower. So what is everybody doing? Like, I don't know what to do. And Pedro Pascal comes there, cuts the rope, and then the bridge falls. And all the soldiers were like, wow, he's so smart. Because I was pulling on the rope, wasn't working. I was pushing, not working. But Pedro Pascal came. He came with his Sharpie thing, and he's like, cut the rope, and the bridge fell, and we could all now attack the city. I never thought of that. That's why he's our general, really, honestly, because that's my sword, by the way. And then the attack, the whole battle. And there's like fighting here, fighting there, fighting behind him. Pedro Pascal is moving, everybody is fighting. Wait a second, the Romans are extremely disciplined. This is not how you fight. If you want to see how fighting like that, a landing from a ship, extremely well executed, is done, look at this in Hercules. And when they're landing there in front of Troy. That's how you do it. And I can keep going, but I gotta stop at some point. But I gotta say two more things. Like, for example, the two emperors going in and saying to Pedro Pascal, oh yeah, next you're invading Persia. And after that, India. Like, are we serious? Like, the Roman Empire expanded from the peninsula of Italy and then across the Mediterranean. Going to India? Do you know how long time it's gonna take for a Roman ship to get to India and back to transmit one simple message? That doesn't make any sense. This empire is founded on a city. It's not founded on a person like Alexander the Great. So if Alexander the Great goes to India, the empire goes there. No, this doesn't work. Like going to India, like Rome is invading India, that doesn't make any sense. But finally, look at this. Look at this guy. This is the chief of the city that they have captured, right? And what do? They have him fight some monkeys in some Coliseum that's outside of Rome. No, you have to bring him in front of the emperor, right? In front of the Roman people and say, this was our enemy. This was the chief of the city that resisted us. And here he is, a prisoner, a slave to fight for our entertainment, right? You don't waste him in front of a small audience in some sort of backwards Coliseum. But why is it done? Well, because Pedro Pascal is the main character and he is gonna go to the Coliseum. But wait, you have to think those things through. Those are small details that add up, and you're gonna have people in the audience that are like rolling their eyes. Finally, the glaring problem is the ending. I mean, think about it. How is the hero built? He's built towards that ending. He's going towards that ending from victory to victory. I mean, he goes first of all and has a fight with like the gladiator trainer, and he wins. He's almost there, ready to defeat him completely. Like, by the way, let's remember, our hero started on a farm chasing away a chicken. Like that's his start. That's his beginning. And then all of a sudden, he's defeating everybody. Then he goes in and defeats a few men. Then he goes in and defeats a guy on a rhinoceros. And that guy, by the way, is the champion. So he, of course, defeats him as well. And then he goes on to command men, and he commands them on a boat, and he defeats everybody because the boat is in the Coliseum. And like, wait a second, victory to victory to victory. Now, in the first Gladiator movie, our protagonist was a Roman general, right? He is somebody that's experienced in battle. He has fought many campaigns. He has seen many fights. Like, our guy starts on a farm. So why is he so good? And also, in Gladiator 1, our main protagonist dies at the end. So even if he's good at fighting, at the end, he's killed by treachery, right? And that's the power of the movie, and that's why it works. Those victories work. But in our case, here in Gladiator 2, our protagonist goes from victory to victory, and at the end, he wins. Victory to victory to victory, and wins. Like, that doesn't work. I mean, like, this is not advanced storytelling. This is basic storytelling. Don't make your protagonist strong. Don't make him powerful. Don't make him somebody that's inhuman. Give him flaws. If you're starting him as a peasant, build him up slowly. Have him meet a lot of challenges. Always 3 steps back, 1 forward, 2 steps back, 1 forward, 2 steps forward, 1 back. And then we have the final boss, right? Victory to victory to victory, and then the final boss. And who is the final boss that we get? A merchant. Like some sort of a merchant with a lot of rings. The guy has a lot of rings. He has assassinated a few people. But that is it. That's the final boss. That's a final battle. It's not working. And he wins, of course. But then what does he overcome? A merchant? A merchant that's plotting? A plotting merchant? Like, And then again, it works in the first movie. That's because the emperor there does not play fair, right? He cheats, and not only that, he wins. The emperor wins, and he shouldn't win. But he wins, and that makes it work. Then we have the final speech. Now this has not been received well, if I judge correctly by the comments on everywhere. But we have to think about, first of all, why are the two armies fighting, right? We have two armies that they're approaching each other, and we are seeing this, okay, there's going to be a battle, and then there's our protagonist. He stands in front of the two armies and say, we shouldn't be fighting, we should unite, and we should... But why are the two armies fighting, right? So first of all, we have some silly things like the general of the Praetorians saying, we're gonna outflank them, we can outflank them. Like, what does that even mean? Like, oh, they're on our flank, can we turn towards them? No, we can't, it's impossible. General, we are facing this way and they're outflanked us, it's finished, it's over. We can't turn. This is not in the Roman manual of fighting. Okay, so putting that aside, you have the two armies, but once the emperor is dead, right, and when this, by the way, in this case, Denzel Washington is the second consul because he maneuvered and made himself second consul. But once Denzel Washington is dead, why is the second army, by the way, they are fighting, right? What are they fighting for? The emperor is dead. Denzel Washington is dead. I mean, the first consul is a monkey. Are they fighting for the monkey? Is that the soldiers are like, so who's left? The monkey? That's who we are fighting for? Yeah, we gotta protect the monkey. Nobody gets a step forward towards the city because the monkey is the first consul, and we are yeah. And then the second army, what are they fighting? Because they got a ring, and he was like, oh, we got this ring, sir, and this ring, you know, all right, I got the ring. The general is like, okay, I got the ring, everybody, we march. Like, why are we marching again, sir? Because we got this ring. Okay, everybody, we're going to fight, we're going to invade Rome, we're going to fight the Praetorians, we're going to fight them because we got this ring. Because we got a ring, sir? No, it's not any ring. It's not any ring. It's a ring with an inscription. It's the inscription from Gladiator 1. That's why we're going to fight. But that's like 10 years ago, and I don't know who the inscription... No, we're going to fight. Okay, I don't think you understand this. We have the ring. The ring is inscribed. We're going. We are marching. We're fighting. So the two armies, really, they don't have nothing to march about. I mean, can you imagine the two armies if the two soldiers are, hey, why are you ready to fight? And the other soldiers is like, well, because we have this monkey as the first consul. It's a long story, you know, it's complicated. But anyway, so now we are outflanking you. And why are you fighting? Well, that's a funny story. So our general got this ring, okay? And it's not just any ring. The ring is inscribed inside from Gladiator 1, like 10 years ago. There's this it's a complicated story anyway. So we got the ring and we're going to be fighting you. Do, do you want to get something to drink at the tavern, maybe? Yeah. I mean, it's much better to get something to drink than to kill each other, right? Oh, yeah, it's much better to get something to drink than to fight each other. Because I don't mind the fighting. It's really, the problem is that in the fighting, there's like the dying, and that part I don't like that much. Who's that guy there, by the way, giving a speech in the middle? I don't know. What is he saying? I don't know. He's saying something about that we should cheer. So, a drink? Yeah, let's get a drink. Like, I mean, am I exaggerating here? Yes, I am, definitely, but by a little bit. In conclusion, this was a visual feast that brought ancient Rome to life, and for that reason we should appreciate this movie. But as a whole, are you not entertained? Well, I'm gonna leave that answer for you to decide on after pondering it. I'm Mika Nicolo, and this is Advanced Storytelling. This is also my first video, so please tell me in the comments what's wrong with it, so I can improve. Subscribe and like if you think it is deserves, and I'll see you next time. Now get out of here.